I'm challenging myself to cook potatoes 100 different ways. This is recipe 1, potato pom-poms. Start by peeling potatoes, then trim the bottoms for a flat surface. Place chopsticks on both sides and slice a 1/4 inch apart. Rotate 90 degrees and repeat. Next, add water and salt to a bowl and soak for 30 minutes. In a separate bowl, add flour, cumin, smoked paprika, chili powder, and whisk. Plop the potatoes into the flour mixture, really getting into the crevices. Then give it a hot oil bath for 7 minutes until golden brown. The best thing about these potato pom-poms is its flavor, so I'm gonna rate it a 9 out of 10. On episode 2 of Cooking Potatoes 100 Different Ways, we're making 15-hour potatoes. You want to start with using a mandolin to get ultra-thin slices of potato that you'll then transfer to a bowl and add melted butter and garlic powder. Next, you'll transfer this buttery goodness to a baking dish, then bake low and slow for 3 hours until potatoes are tender. You'll place a piece of parchment paper on top, followed by another baking dish with weights, and refrigerate for at least 12 hours. Flip the cold potatoes onto a cutting board and slice into perfect little cubes. And while these do take more time than effort in my opinion, I'd say it's well worth giving it a solid 10 out of 10. Welcome to Cooking Potatoes 100 Different Ways, where sometimes things can get a little messy. Today we're making potato puff balls. This is a simple recipe that calls for mashing baked, then cooled potatoes, then adding potato starch, black pepper, cumin, and salt. Once everything is mixed, the dough is rolled into cute balls, then fried to golden perfection. But we later found out that some tweaks were needed, like swapping potato starch for cooked semolina flour to prevent fireworks in potato form from happening. I rate this a 6 out of 10. The texture on the inside reminds me of like squid balls or fish balls. That's good. You can find the full non-exploding recipe on tasty.co. On episode 4 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making this super cheesy home aligot. I've never had potatoes like this before. Look at that. Wow. This traditional French potato dish required some steps, but it was definitely worth it. After boiling the potatoes, I passed them through a ricer, then worked on the herb cream sauce, infusing it with a medley of delicious herbs. I then transferred it to the rice potatoes, whisking until fully incorporated and cooking over low heat until the mixture becomes a little sticky and thickened. This is where the magic happens. I added grated Gruyere in batches, stirring until this stringy goodness happens. Look at that. This is a solid 10 out of 10. On episode 5 of Cooking Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making bubble chip potatoes paired with a cheesy dip. Oh yeah, that's tasty. This recipe calls for thinly slicing potatoes. Ooh, that scared me. Brushing them with an egg wash and cornstarch to fuse the pieces together. I then cut the potatoes into even rectangles, then fry until golden brown, remove, then return them to the oil for round 2 of frying, which is when they will begin to puff. These were a little difficult to fry and some of them came out a little bit soft. So for that, I have to give these a 7.4. I mean, it's a fried potato. Of course it's good. This is episode 6 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, and I'm making Dutchess potatoes paired with a garlic vinegar mayo. I start by boiling Yukon potatoes, then passing them through a ricer. Next, I add egg yolks, spices, cream, butter, then whisk this mixture until it's perfectly smooth. I then pipe the mixture onto a baking dish and finish it off with an egg wash. The final step for these potatoes is to bake for 20 minutes until golden brown and crispy on the outside. Love the texture. Creamy, soft, crunchy on the top. These are a 10. Without the sauce, I'd say it's like a 6.5 out of 10. That's my true, honest. I'm a sauce person. On episode 7 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making this soft, savory, and cheesy potato mochi. So easy to put together. To make things easy, I'm using Idahoans buttery home-style mashed potatoes. Just mix the boiling water and let it stand for 1 minute for delicious mashed potatoes. Usually, these make the perfect quick side dish, but today I am transforming them into a main dish by adding potato starch to the Idahoan mashed potatoes to make mochi. Place a cube of cheese in the center, wrap the dough around, and shape into a patty. Cook the patties in a skillet with oil over medium heat until golden brown. Next, make the yaki sauce by combining liquid ingredients and brown sugar. Then simmer the sauce until it's glossy and thickened. Flip the patties in the sauce until fully coated, then finish with a strip of nori. This might be my favorite one yet. Perfect texture, super buttery smooth. This is a win-win for me. On episode 8 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making fondant potatoes. Make these immediately. These were fun and simple to make. It starts by slicing potatoes into 1-inch pieces using a ring mold to create a cylindrical shape. Don't worry, the scraps were not wasted and used for making home fries. I then added a head of garlic to the pan along with butter and thyme. Baste the potatoes for about a minute with a buttery thyme goodness, then add veggie stock and cook for 25 minutes until taters are tender. These smell incredible. This is like a 12 out of 10. 100% worth the effort. It's perfect. On episode 9 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making chicken leg croquettes. It's Starts by searing the chicken on all sides, then adding vegetables, herbs, and seasonings to a pot, then simmer until chicken is cooked through. Pass boiled potatoes through a ricer, then add chicken, mozzarella, cream cheese, scallions, grated garlic, and salt to a bowl and give it a good mix. Mold the chicken around the bone, forming it into the shape of a drumstick. Coat the chicken in egg, then panko, and fry until golden brown. That was incredible. It's rich, a little buttery with the potatoes, creamy from the cream cheese, and then you get that hint of onion from the scallions. These are a solid 10. On episode 10 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making a potato flour. Look at that cheesy goodness. This recipe was tasty but required a decent amount of steps. What I most liked about this recipe was the tomato beef dip, which called for mirin, soy sauce, garlic, onion, and eggplant. When considering the time that went into making this dish and the end result, I'm rating this one a 6 out of 10. On episode 11 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato braids. These were more fun to make than they were to eat. After boiling peeled potatoes, I press them through a sieve, then add cornstarch, oil, water, and salt. And trust, a generous amount of salt was added. Then I pipe the mixture onto a flat surface and start the braiding sequence. This part was a little tricky as the moisture has to be just right to keep the braid from breaking. Deep fry until golden brown and top with salt, and that's it. It's like a 6, 5.5. They're horrible, but I keep eating it. Those are good. I just finished the whole damn thing. On episode 12 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making cheesy ranch croquettes. They're perfectly seasoned. I love it. These Idahoan triple cheese potato shreds have a perfect amount of texture and flavor and are perfect for a quick snack on the go. After microwaving the potato shreds, I pour ranch into a round tray mold and freeze until solid. Then I make the bechamel sauce and season it with salt, pepper, and nutmeg. Give it a quick test to make sure the sauce is ready, then mix with the Idahoan triple cheese potato shreds. Portion them out onto a baking sheet, then add the frozen ranch balls, form into a ball, refrigerate for 1 hour, then dredge in flour, egg, and panko. Fry until golden brown and serve. On episode 13 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato milk. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Making potato milk is super easy. It starts by boiling potatoes until fork tender, then draining and adding them to a blender with soaked almonds, dates, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and water. Blend, then pass the liquid mixture through a cheesecloth, and that's it. This is the moment of truth. Okay, that's pretty good. Super creamy. I really like how it froths. I would give this an 8 out of 10. On episode 14 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato pizza. Oh my god, doesn't get any better than this. After boiling potatoes in salted water, I smashed each potato, sprayed with oil, and seasoned with salt and pepper. Roasted for 20 minutes, then top with marinara, cheese, and peps. Bake for 5 minutes or until the cheese melts, top with fresh basil, which is essential, and chili flakes, and get to eating. I love the crunchy bits. I feel like every episode is always like, this is my favorite one. This is a 10. On episode 15 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato cubes, just in time for Halloween. These are good. Perfect for a Halloween party. It's so cute, look at it. For this recipe, I'm using the top quality yellow and purple Idaho potatoes. Just look for the grown in Idaho seal when shopping. After boiling, I chill the potatoes overnight. Meanwhile, I saute the onion, garlic, and thyme, then transfer to a bowl to cool to room temp. I then peel and grate the potatoes and add them to a bowl along with the onion mixture. Mix, then transfer to a baking dish, smooth it out, and freeze overnight. Then I cut the potatoes into little squares, coat in cornstarch, give them a hot oil bath until perfectly crisp, then toss in cheese powder. On episode 16 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making roasty lox. Oh wow. Start by boiling potatoes in salted water. Cool, then grate potatoes, then transfer to a large bowl and toss with melted butter, chives, and salt. Heat oil in a skillet, then add the potato mixture and spread it out into an even layer. Set a large plate upside down over the skillet, return to the skillet, and cook until golden brown. Top with creme fraiche, smoked salmon, capers, onions, dill, and roe. This is so freaking good. This is a solid 10. You need this at your next brunch. On episode 17 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato rings. Start by passing cooked potatoes through a sieve and into a medium bowl. Add water, corn, and potato starch, mozzarella, chives, pepper, and salt. Mix until everything is well incorporated, then transfer to a piping bag. Pipe 4-inch circles onto parchment squares, then fry until golden brown. Season with salt and pair with your favorite condiment. Now here's what I thought about them. That's good. This is 7.2. I think there's other potato recipes that we've done in this series that I like a lot more. On episode 18 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making pumpkin potato gnocchi.
Oh wow, this is a 10. It's perfect.
For this recipe, I'm using top quality, vibrant russet potatoes from Idaho. Just look for the Grown in Idaho sale when shopping. To a bowl, add flour, yam powder, and salt. Transfer the potato and pass through a ricer and onto a clean surface. Then add nutmeg, parm, and a beaten egg, and use a bench scraper to incorporate. Divide the dough into 4 equal parts, roll into a rope, then cut into half-inch pieces. Roll each piece into a ball and create pumpkin marks around the dough ball with a piece of twine and toothpick. Finish with a rosemary leaf, then boil gnocchi in salted water until they float to the top. Serve with a luscious white wine sauce topped with crispy prosciutto and enjoy. On episode 19 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making crispy accordion potatoes.
So crunchy. These are for real really good.
Place 1 slice of potato flat on a cutting board and cut thinly vertically between 2 skewers. Flip and repeat. Look how pretty. Next, to make this crazy good Cajun garlic butter sauce, arrange potatoes in a single layer on a baking tray and brush with the Cajun garlic butter on both sides. Bake until the edges are nice and crispy, give it one more slather of butter, and that's it. These might be my fave of the series yet.
These are like a 15 out of 10. They're bomb. These are so freaking good.
On episode 20 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making Michelin mashed potatoes.
Oh man, yeah, that's good.
Cover potatoes with cold water, bring to a boil and add salt and cook until tender. Add heavy cream, garlic, and thyme to a saucepan. Steep over medium-low heat. Then prep the butter. For these potatoes, I'm using 1 pound of butter to 2 pounds of potatoes. Pass the potatoes through a ricer, then stir with a wooden spoon over medium heat until steam starts to rise. Add 1/4 of the butter at a time to the potatoes, stirring until melted, then repeat. Whisk in the cream, then season generously with salt. Pass the potatoes through a sieve and into a serving dish. Smooth the top and garnish with more butter, why not, and finish with chives.
If you bring this to your holiday gathering, you win. You take the cake. It's like an 8.5, 9. But what if I wanted gravy? Nah, it's 8.5. You know, that's where I'm at. Still good.
On episode 21 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making cinnamon rolls.
So good. I can't believe there's potato in the cinnamon roll.
I love cooking with Idaho potatoes because they're so versatile. Did you know you can make bread from potatoes? Start by warming the milk, then add in butter, rice, potatoes, eggs, and whisk to combine. Meanwhile, in another bowl, add milk, sugar, and yeast and let sit until foamy. Combine both mixtures along with flour to a stand mixer bowl. Mix until the dough comes together and a sticky dough forms. Cover and leave in a warm place until doubled in size. And now for a satisfying moment. Turn the dough out onto a well-floured surface and knead until smooth and no longer sticky. Roll into a rectangle about 1/2 inch thick, slather with cinnamon sugar butter, and roll into a log, pinching the seam close. Cut into 6 pieces and leave to rise one last time. Bake until golden brown, then top with cream cheese frosting and enjoy warm.
The potato makes all the difference.
On episode 22 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making long fries.
These are incredible. The crunch, it's so good.
Cook potatoes in boiling salted water until fork tender. Then transfer to a colander and cover with a kitchen towel for 10 minutes. Pass through a ricer, then add sugar, cornstarch, and salt. Transfer the mixture to a clean work surface and use a bench scraper to mix until well combined. Shape dough into a log and divide into 4 portions. Then feed the dough into the long fry press, then press down on the handle while gliding the basket to catch the pressed dough. Fry until golden brown, top with loads of kewpie, sriracha, and furikake. Here's what I thought.
Oh, geez. 24 out of 10. It's a rating, not what episode we're on. I know it's a little confusing.
On episode 23 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making scallop potato roll.
That's good. I'm giving it an 8.1.
Start by thinly slicing potatoes, then sprinkle parm across a baking sheet. Place the potatoes over the parm, overlapping the slices, then top with a thin layer of parm, then bake until edges are crispy. Prep the beef filling by adding seasonings, parsley, and diced tomatoes. Top baked potatoes with a layer of spinach mixture, then the beef, mozzarella cheese, then roll into a huge log and bake. On episode 24 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato noodles.
Low effort, high reward. These are like a 9. The audio must be amazing for you right now.
Start by combining potato starch and boiling water in a bowl and mix until you get a gelatinous mixture. Transfer to a clean and dusted surface, then knead until you get a smooth and stretchy dough. Shape the dough into a 4-inch square, then cut into thin strips. Roll the strips into the shape of a rope, then cook in boiling salted water until noodles float and pair with a chili oil sauce. On episode 25 of Potatoes 100 Different Ways, I'm making potato nests.
That is legit pretty good.
Start by grating potatoes into shreds, then transfer to a bowl with water to release the starch. Dry the shreds well, then transfer to a bowl, then add egg whites, ham, chives, and seasonings. Mix well, then cook in a well-oiled skillet. Add water to create a steam bath, then cover with a lid. Add the yolk, season with salt, flip, and cook to your desired yolk thickness.
I like it a lot. I genuinely like it. For me, this is a 10.
On episode 26 of Potatoes, 100 Different Ways, I'm making pub potatoes.
I mean, can you hear that? Don't watch me eat though.
Start by cubing potatoes, then boil in well-seasoned vegetable broth just until potatoes are slightly tender. Transfer to a bowl and give them a swish to rough up the surface for some texture. Add oil, garlic, rosemary, and pepper to a pan, and once the oil is infused, pour just the oil over the potatoes. Then roast and toss every 30 minutes until golden brown and crispy. Add the garlic and rosemary to the potatoes at the end and finish with salt and parm. Here's what I thought.
That herbed oil, I'm gonna give these, that was a good one. I'm gonna give these an 8 out of 10.
On episode 27 of Potatoes, 100 Different Ways, I'm making hash brown pockets.
All right, let's go.
Start by cooking potatoes in boiling hot water until fork tender. Grate the potatoes, then add parm, flour, onion and garlic powder, salt and pepper. Mix, then spread half the shreds evenly onto a baking sheet, top with a sausage and veg and egg and ham filling. Then evenly spread the remaining shreds. Cut into squares, transfer to the freezer until completely frozen, then give each pocket a bath in hot oil until golden brown and crispy.
Perfectly seasoned, great for meal prep. I would give this an 8.5. I have to have ketchup. Yeah, that's good.
On episode 28 of Potatoes, 100 Different Ways, I'm making French onion potato cheese cups.
Stringy, cheesy goodness. That's an 11.
Pierce the potatoes, then top with oil and salt. Bake until fork tender, then slice the potatoes in half and scoop out and save the inside. Make the French onion soup base by caramelizing the onions, then add flour as a thickener, wine to deglaze the pan, then thyme, and finally beef broth. Once that reduces, fill the potato boats with the onion mixture, then top with the scooped potato from earlier. Top with cheese, then bake until it melts. On episode 29 of Potatoes, 100 Different Ways, I'm making a potato rose.
He loves me. He loves me not.
Start by slicing potatoes, then season with oil, garlic powder, rosemary, thyme, pepper, and salt, and give it a good mix. Line up 2 slices of bacon, then stack the potatoes on top and carefully roll. On episode 30 of Potatoes, 100 Different Ways, I'm making stacked potatoes.
Yeah, this one's up there with my tops.
Start by thinly slicing potatoes. Transfer to a bowl, then add parm, rosemary, thyme, pepper, salt, and olive oil. Give it a good mix until potatoes are coated, then evenly distribute in a muffin pan and bake until edges and tops are golden brown.